But you know, Adam, when you're when you talk about these things, you get a lot of pushback from black folks that say, "Oh, what are you talking about? There aren't all these single black mothers. Black fathers are very involved. They are, they're not all these homes without black homes without fathers. You can't say that. That's talking down about black people. Like you can't talk about that. You are talking down against your people. You are painting black men in this way that is just not true. That is just a lot of times, you hear that's a conservative talking point.
Hmm.
That's just pushing a right-wing narrative. I'm trying to think of all the things that I've heard
Yeah.
when you talk about these facts. um what do you say to that?
Well, it's interesting that you said, you paint black fathers in a particular way. Actually, for people who go and read my book, I'm equal opportunity.
Mhm.
I'm critical of my mother and her decision,
Mm.
because my father was married, just not to my mother. And
Oh.
and that's how I was conceived. Now, obviously, I, that particular relationship wouldn't have resulted in the household that I'm describing that
Mhm.
we should have.
Mhm.
So these were purposeful decisions that were made.
Mhm.
And so I am questioning why my mother made this particular decision. And I'm also questioning the mentality behind a lot of women, black women specifically, when it comes to family planning. And, there's a particular chapter called Feminism and Fatherhood,
Mhm.
where I'm talking about how a lot of black women, uh, whether they see themselves as it or their behavior, because I'm into behavior, I'm watching their behavior and they behave as feminists. And
You can't say that, Adam. You can't say that either. You can't talk about black fathers, okay? And you certainly cannot talk about black mothers if it's in a negative way. The only thing that you can say about a black woman, a black
Mhm.
mother, is that she is a goddess, a queen, a everything that she touches and does is sprinkled with fairy dust, and she does no wrong. You cannot say anything bad about a black woman.
Well, obviously I don't believe in that.
I'm
I
just telling you what
Yeah.
I hear. I'm just, that's what I
No,
hear.
I hear it too, and I think it's ridiculous. I think literally anybody is up for criticism.
Yeah.
Obviously there are people who are more taboo than others, but
Hmm.
if you have a legit reasoning, and I think the way I wrote the book is coming from a place of concern and compassion. So I think most people understand the criticisms that I'm making. It's
Hmm.
not being, bombastic or wagging my finger at black
Hmm.
women. It's asking a particular question or multiple questions about their viewpoint on family, and why they think this way and the effects of feminism. And I'm making more of the case that even if black women don't see themselves as feminists, they behave like feminists, right?
Mm.
You know,
Yep.
so the I don't need a man. The
I can do that all by myself.
I can do bad by myself.
I'm a
You know,
strong, independent black woman.
right? And that key word is independence, right? When you have independence in mind, then there is no togetherness with someone else. there's
That's
no
right.
there's no sacrifice, there's no anything.
There's no
Eh,
marriage. You cannot have a marriage if you are independent. You
right,
have to have interdependent.
right.
You cannot, and this is something I had to learn. So after I was divorced, you kind of have this time, well, you should at least, where you reflect and you look at the things that you did wrong. And I mean, everybody, it's so easy to put everything on the other person.
Hmm.
But when you're mature, um, you look at the things that you did wrong. And I really wanted to, I'm a thinker. Like I probably think too much sometimes. I'm in my head a lot.
Hmm.
And I really wanted to understand why I did. behavior. I'm interested even in my own behavior, like why I do the things that I do. Even with myself, it's other people too. But I was curious on why I behaved the way I behaved, and I had this moment when I was married where we were having this fierce fellowship. And he looked at me and was just like, it just wasn't pleasant, and it stopped me in my tracks. And I was like, because he'd always looked at me with like, admiration and love and these things. And um I was right in what I was saying in the moment. Like I was right from the argument that, from my perspective of what the problem was. But God arrested me in that moment to show me myself, to show how I was wrong in my approach. And
Mhm.
that moment changed a lot, because God took me down this path to make me understand men. And my approach to him was never going to get what I desired from him. Growing up, I was heard, my parents were married. They were married for 20 years. But my father was away a lot for work. And so my mother did instill us with that. She didn't quite say it like, you don't need a man. But what she used to say a lot was, if you don't have one, I want to show you all the things. I want to show you how to do everything by yourself. She was preparing us to be alone.
Mhm.
And it was a lot of the strong Black woman talk. It was a lot of liberal feminist talk and behavior.
Mhm.
And so once I started to look to the Bible, and look at the order, and look at what God had said about marriage and how women should behave in order to have a good marriage union, it God is explicit. He says, husbands, love your wives. Wives, respect your husbands. Two totally different commands.
Mhm.
And once I started to dig deep into that, and the respect that a man needs, not wants, not might need to have from time to time, what he needs, the respect that he needs, just like women need love and affection.
Mhm.
Not to say that men don't need those things, but it is a deep need for us to have them. It is a deep need for men to have respect. And I had to understand that that need came from how he was wired as a man, how he was made by God.
Yeah.
And that started to, I started listening to, reading different things on successful marriages and things like that. Unfortunately, my marriage didn't end up working out, but what I learned was gold, because it put me in the right mindset to hopefully be married again one day, and to know how to approach this marriage in the right mindset as a woman, because you cannot be independent and be in a marriage. You have
Yeah.
to respect your husband. There are so many things that women have to do. We think we want our men to respond in the way that we would respond. But the way we respond is coming from a female mindset. And if he responded that way, we wouldn't even be attracted to him, because he probably wouldn't even be attracted to us, if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying. So it's like
Exactly.
we're expecting him to have these feminine behaviors, and when he doesn't respond, when he is coming in all of his manhood, it's like we don't know how to respond. And it's like, because many a times we don't have our fathers there, so we don't see how real men behave. And we see a bunch of women, and we're like, well, why did he say that to me? He didn't turn around and say, like in the soap operas, and give like this dramatic response. And we're like looking for all of that foolishness that's not reality. And
Mhm.
so we live in this place that's not real, and expecting him to respond to behave like women or like something we see on TV that just it does not exist.
Right,
And
right.
so it really took me down this journey of how to get I had to get myself together because I was so out of order. I was so out of pocket. And talking about that, it is taboo, but so many black women need to hear it. And not only black women, I see a lot of other cultures starting to adopt this mindset too. And
Yes,
it's destroying their families the same way because it doesn't matter the color. That behavior is destructive, whoever's doing it.
exactly.